From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, hon.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
Happy Friday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and it was another active day out there yesterday. A lot of lightning strikes, a lot of thunderstorms, severe thunderstorm warnings. We did see, of course, you can see all the lightning strikes that we did see here in Trinity County, Siskiyou, Modoc, Lassen counties, all seeing those thunderstorms. And some of them did work their way into parts of the valley. It just wasn't very active, and it was kind of in the outskirts of some of those valley locations. If you look closely here, you can see a little bit of activity near Red Bluff, north of Redding, around Lakehead, north of the city of Shasta Lake, for example. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how much activity. And this has been the trend all week long, and unfortunately it has produced new fires. And a new fire we'll be talking about here in a second here. Not very large, but it is a couple of 100 acres, and it has grown since July 30th. So we're going to take a closer look at that here in a second here. But let's take a look at our weather headlines, because we still have, unfortunately, more mountain thunderstorms again this afternoon and even this weekend. Now, it's not going to be as widespread, but I especially think that places like Siskiyou, Modoc, and even some of the eastern mountains could see some of that. So the potential for new and more new lightning-sparked fires and dry lightning in general. Now, it will be slightly cooler. This is, a little bit of a silver lining here, if you will. We do expect slightly cooler temperatures for Sunday and Monday before we kind of warm things back up. In fact, it looks like maybe even some bigger heat near the end of next week. More on all of that and the fires coming up here in just a bit. But let's take a look at your Krueger's quick cast for your Friday, August 1st. Yes, it's August 1st, folks. We are right there in the middle of summer. So here's what we're calling for. It may be a little smoky, a little hazy out there in Trinity County, mainly from the Butler fire, but overall, you're looking at mainly sunny skies. And of course, that chance for thunderstorms here later on this afternoon. But the big swirling area of low pressure over the Gulf of Alaska, that has been really just sitting there all week long. And that's actually been our friend, because the heat over the desert Southwest, yeah, it did warm us up this week, especially from last week, but it's only been around or just below normal for this time of the year, thanks to that area of low pressure spinning to over the Gulf of Alaska. And that's been preventing that heat from building in stronger. Now, as it has been every day this week, is taking that severe outlook too far to the west. I don't think we're going to see anything for Del Norte or Humboldt counties, but I think everywhere else, especially the mountains, will see that potential for thunderstorms. The valley, again, maybe a stray shower, maybe a stray thunderstorm again late this afternoon and evening. We've got a potential for more dry lightning strikes. This is the HRRR forecast model. In the deeper dive, we're going to take a closer look at our in-house forecast model and kind of compare the two. So kind of take note what we're looking at here. Not much going on by midday. Thunderstorms begin to pop up, though, through the afternoon, as we've seen every single day this week, right? So you can see the thunderstorms popping up west of the valley, Trinity County, Siskiyou County, but even parts of the eastern mountains seeing that activity, and then it kind of pops up. Now, see how this model wants to bring some of that activity here pretty darn close to the valley. So could we see a stray shower? Could we even see a stray thunderstorm for parts of the valley? That's not out of the question, but as we go into tonight, this will all begin to die down. All right, so for today, you got temperatures. It's warm. It's getting pretty hot out there, mid to upper 90s in the valley, 80s, some 90s for the higher elevations. And we've got those thunderstorms once again in the higher elevations. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for the valley. Temperatures actually dropping a little bit. Look at this in Chico. Monday, you're down to 90. But then it's warming back up. In fact, it's going to be some bigger heat we've seen for a while here as we get towards the middle and latter part of next week. And even for the coast, you're warming up next week. Look at that. You're going to be in the upper 60s. Looks like in the low to mid 90s for the inland areas. Still that chance for thunderstorms today for Weaverville and Trinity County in general, but I do think your chances will be much slimmer over the weekend and even early next week. But still, for Siskiyou, Modoc County over the weekend, still that chance for thunderstorms. Susanville, I'm going to take your chances out really the eastern mountains on Sunday, and then really drying out for everyone across the board. But look at that, only about 80 for your daytime high on Monday for Mount Shasta, and Alturas 86 for Susanville. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Let's get you to your fire weather forecast now. And again, we're going to take another look at the radar just to kind of really illustrate how many lightning strikes we saw. And this was not the only day we saw it yesterday, right? We've seen it through portions of this entire week. Every single day we've seen those afternoon thunderstorms, and as a result we have seen new fires spark up. In fact, one of the newer ones, and the ones that we'll be tracking here and looking at this new one here, it's called the Big Cliff Fire. Now, as of 9:40 last night, it's at 264 acres. Now, this did get sparked by lightning on July 30th, so that would have been Wednesday. Wednesday evening is when this fire started. And now it's at 264 acres, 0% containment. There's an evacuation warning. That means be ready to go for SIS-2503. Let's take a look at some of the heat signatures that are associated with this fire as well. And yeah, very active last night and early this morning. The red squares indicating where we've seen the most recent activity the last 6 to 12 hours. And it looks like on the southeast side of the fire is where we've seen the bulk of that activity. Now, to give you some perspective, because it's pretty close to Scott Valley, comparatively speaking, that is, right? So it is in some really steep terrain. This is why the firefighters are going to have a difficult time with this one, and that's why it's been able to grow so quickly. But you can see here, it does have some terrain to get through, but it's about 12.2 miles from the community of Etna. So still a bit of a distance away. We're not really seeing any growth in that direction. That certainly is good news. We take a look at the Green Fire as of last night, or actually yesterday around midday. Still no growth on that fire itself, but we have seen some growth on that containment. We've also seen some growth on the containment of the Butler Fire. Very little, if any, growth here over the last 24 hours. So there you can see this is as of yesterday evening at 5:51 p.m. No changes to the evacuation warnings or orders. So again, it almost feels like we're almost wrapping up these fires I've been talking about over the last several weeks. Summit Fire, still no new reports coming. I think I double checked that. Let me double check that here real quickly here, just to make sure that there haven't been any new updates. I believe I checked it, but most like I'm not sure. Yeah, still no new data coming in on this one. Well, actually, it is saying that it's being deactivated from watch duty, but really still as of July 21st, 6:32. Still 701 acres and 90% containment. Really, this thing, for the most part, is nothing to be concerned about as far as the Summit Fire is concerned. All right, so a lot of things can change. Before we get to that, I want to just kind of show you, give you some perspective of what we're looking at here. So this is what it's looking like here. Now, again, you think about all the lightning strikes that we've seen this week. A lot of new fires this week, right? And even over the last couple of days, the 1-4 fire, you've got the Howard's Fire, you've got the Mammoth Fire, which, by the way, that is now 100% contained. So that's good to see that. So we don't have to worry as much about some of the communities in that general area. But you've also got the Middle Fire. And again, these are a lot of these fires within the last few days. Middle Fire, the Muck Fire, the Cayenne Fire, or yeah, I believe I'd say that. Then you've got the Brush Fire. A Sean Fire looks like that is now 100% containment, so that is good. But yeah, again, just kind of give us some perspective. We talk about this, right? When we have these thunderstorm outbreaks, most likely you're going to see a few lightning sparked fires, unfortunately. So that has been the case here this week, but we just, that's kind of the bottom line here. Now, if you want to take a closer look at all of this, because as you know, I do a really detailed look at the fires like I just did during the morning update and also during Coffee with Krueger. Otherwise, I typically don't cover the fires a whole lot in the afternoon and evening unless something major has happened. But if you want to find out what's going on with the latest, all you have to do is go to weathernorcal.com, and then you click on that fire danger section, and that is where you can get the latest on the fires. So I highly recommend you go check that out. It's got everything you need. It's a one-stop shop. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now at some of the fire weather out there. And you can see here what we're looking at here, the winds. The main thing I like to illustrate here is the fact that we just don't have any wind events heading our way. We're still looking at that typical pattern where the winds die down in the morning hours and they pick up in the afternoon. So really no big surprises there, nothing to be concerned about. And when we look at the fire weather risk, once again, the typical for at least the valley is moderate to high. That's normal. Nothing to be alarmed about, just that, the reminder that we just need to be careful this time of the year. Now, it looks like we are seeing it drop a little bit with that fire weather risk, but still need to be careful out there, and that'll be the case as we go into Sunday. Hey, by the way, there's a free Weather NorCal app. These thunderstorms, they've been producing a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. One of the cool things about the Weather NorCal app is if you have the push notifications and you are in the area of where a watch or a warning is issued, you will actually get it pushed to your phone before the National Weather Service actually issues that watch or warning. So search for Weather NorCal, space between Weather and NorCal, download the app for free, and take advantage of this amazing app that you can get. And it's all localized, folks. The forecast I generate goes into the app. How cool is that? You get a forecast on your app. It's not just some AI app, a native app on your phone that's generated by AI. It's a forecast that's generated by a local meteorologist, myself, right? 25 plus years of experience forecasting in this area. So check it out. All right, enough of that. Let's take a look at the satellite image here. We still have this swirling area of low pressure, and I'm going to talk about this all week long. This has been the saving grace for us to see any major heat waves coming through this week. It's just been warmer. It's been warmer, but that's really about it. Now, the severe weather outlook, as usual, Storm Prediction Center taking this too far to the west, taking too much of it into the valley as well. And that is, the reason why I got to get my mouse out of there, mouse cursor out there. And so that's the reason why I want to take this out as well. So it's mainly going to be in the higher elevations. We'll see a chance for thunderstorms. But as we saw in the HRRR forecast model, it was showing some of that activity trying to come into the valley here. But as we look here in just a second at our in-house model, that's not necessarily the case. But there's that potential for dry lightning once again. All right, here's our in-house forecast model. Let's kind of compare it to what we saw earlier with the HRRR. So by midday, we are seeing some pop-up thunderstorms, especially in Siskiyou County. We go into about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Siskiyou, Modoc, even near Bernie, Lassen County, Plumas County, seeing some of that. And we are seeing this little pop-up activity here. So this is what we got to watch here. West of the valley, we saw it yesterday, those thunderstorms popping up, and some of that did kind of work its way in. And eventually we actually saw some pop up near Red Bluff, but mainly east of Red Bluff that kind of popped up as well. This model not as aggressive with that potential for thunderstorms, so we kind of go somewhere in between where the HRRR is and where this is. So there is that potential. Once again, if you live in the valley, and really it looks like Redding, Red Bluff, Corning maybe, don't be surprised if you see a stray shower or even an off chance for a thunderstorm late this afternoon and into this evening. Otherwise, I think the bulk of the activity will be in the higher elevations. Then by tonight, we're done with it, right? And then we go into tomorrow morning. It's dry. You've got the fog along the coast, a drizzle that we've seen there. Midday on Saturday, no thunderstorms popping up at this point. Then by about 3 p.m., it's not very widespread, but I am watching the potential again west of the valley, mainly though for Siskiyou, Modoc, and even parts of Lassen County. There you can see the heaviest activity does look to be in Siskiyou County, so once again, maybe some severe thunderstorms there. But we see the same song and dance we've seen this week. These thunderstorms die out usually around 10 o'clock, between 10 and midnight. Sunday morning, we're looking at dry conditions. Midday Sunday, some of the clouds developing. We could see a stray thunderstorm developing for Siskiyou, maybe Modoc County, but I think south into Lassen and even into Trinity County, most likely thunderstorm free on Sunday. All right, switching gears now, we're going to talk about the temperature outlook, and we're getting more in that warmer category here. That's because we got some warmer air heading our way. This area of low pressure is finally going to show signs of getting weaker, especially as we go into next week. But before that happens, before we see this heat begin to build in, and actually some heat off to our west builds in, we've got another little shot of more mild air moving in. This is going to drop our temperatures by about 5 and as much as 10 degrees in some spots here for Sunday and Monday, right? But then this gets pushed up to the north. As we go through next week, this area of high pressure right here is really going to start to build, and this is what's going to give us hotter temperatures here as we get towards the middle and latter part of next week. And you can see that in the 10-day trend for Redding. There's that dip in the temperatures I was talking about Sunday, Monday, but then creeping back up. Now, it's going to get hotter, hotter than we've seen in a while, but Nothing that out of the ordinary. We're talking 103, 104, maybe 105 in some spots. Hey, let's take a look at the month of July. We've been talking about how it's been an unusual month. We started off with temperatures over 100 degrees. We saw the hottest temperature of the year so far on July 11th, and then it just really dropped after that. You can see we mainly were below normal through a good portion of the month, either near normal or below normal through a good portion of the month. So really, for all intents and purposes, it's been a pretty mild July. All right, let's take a look at those lake levels, and we are going to be looking at still pretty good averages here, over 100% for that historical average. Continue to watch the lakes drop, but that's normal as we have that demand throughout the summer, but that's what they're there for. We have the reservoirs. They were full, I mean, almost 100% full. I think it was Oroville, Lake Oroville was 100% full at one point, but we need that water, right? We need the water. So that's why they begin to drop here through the summer. But then as we go in the winter, we fill them back up again. We can only hope we have a wet winter, though, by the way. We won't talk about that just yet. But let's take a look at those wave heights. The wave heights really aren't changing much here over the next 24 hours. You can see they're going to be anywhere from 2 to even upwards of about 5 feet. Let's take you into your Saturday. They increase a little bit in some areas, but overall, no big changes there. The main concern here with your marine forecast is not necessarily the waves, but it will be that patchy, dense fog you could be dealing with out there. Otherwise, your winds will be from the northwest at about 10 to 15 knots. All right, your neighborhood forecast. We got a new sponsor, folks. We're so excited to have Dignity Health on board. They sponsor 3 of our neighborhoods. And there you can see, of course, for Trinity County, we're looking at 94 degrees for your daytime high on Friday. There's the thunderstorms today. Now, I don't have any thunderstorms for you on Saturday or Sunday. You may see a stray shower thunderstorm Saturday, by the way. But otherwise, mainly dry through the weekend, and then cooler for Sunday, Monday, and then warming up for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. North Coast Neighborhood Forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health. There you can see 68 degrees for Blue Lake, 89 degrees in Garberville, and 88 for Alder Point. And we take you up north. Now, the inland areas, you're remaining dry. You're cooler. It looks like in the low to upper 80s here by Sunday, Monday, and then warming back up again for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, also sponsored by Dignity Health. 89 degrees for Fort Jones, 88 degrees in Gazelle. Thunderstorms continue through the afternoon hours through at least Sunday. And then those chances should start to diminish as we go into early next week. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, temperatures in the mid-80s, give or take. Chances for thunderstorms through the weekend. For the eastern mountains, I got chances for thunderstorms for you today and tomorrow. But really, after today, these chances do diminish here, even for the eastern mountains. And then there you can see on Monday a high of 86 degrees. Your Valley neighborhood forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health. There you can see those temperatures are going to be in the 90s for those daytime highs, mid-90s. Chico, you're down to 90 on Monday, but back up into the mid-90s Tuesday, Wednesday, and yeah, some triple-digit heat returns by Thursday. We take you up to the north, 91 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake, Bella Vista about 100, 95 for Lakehead, and Red Bluff a high of about 97 degrees. All right, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Redding. Those temperatures in the mid-90s by Sunday, Monday, so a nice little dip in our temperatures, but then yeah, we're back up to 100 degrees or higher by Wednesday and Thursday of next week. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon. Have yourselves a great morning.
Fire spreads quickly. Don't wait until it's too late. Garmin's Tractor Service specializes in field mowing and light tractor work to help protect your family, your property, and those around you. We're fully insured, locally licensed, and ready to help you create the defensible space you need. Call or text Garmin's Tractor Service today. Protect what matters before fire strikes you.